There is a science of sabotage. It's not just articulated thought. So everything that you've been through, both with like client experience and with your own work, this is the book for those of us on YouTube together. This is Holodynamics by Dr. Vernon Wolf. I'm just going to read a quick passage. I was in prep for our show. I was thinking about this. And this is the message that's coming through here. And this is holodynes. This is a concept I learned from Dr. Wolf, who you introduced me to, who you've learned from, who now that knowledge and that science really of sabotage has gone out to heal some of the most powerful people in the world. So holodynes are these thought forms which have the power to cause things to happen. Holodynes are single self-sufficient units of the quantum force, fundamental units of the one dynamic whole and holodynamic universe. These holodynes respond to all dimensions of the mind model. They both have a particle and a wave. When I read that, everything literally made sense. I'm not trying to be reductionistic, like things just made sense, Jay, because I thought, okay, not only did I sit with Dr. Wolf and he told me this, but then in reading the book that you had referred me to, I started to really understand that sabotage that we learn from our mother and father, who they learned from their grandmother and their grandfather, is these microtubules within our cell. It is a biological, it is also a quantum spiritual energetic, both force and power that we are either in awareness of or not. So can you unpack that in your own language with your own experience? Because this is not just woo. I mean, I love some woo, but there's science to this too. This is real, rational, linear thinking as well as the quantum.
Yeah. I'll just share a story, that I think helps to encapsulate what this means for all the people that are listening and for you and I. Okay. So Dr. Wolf went into the Soviet Union at the time of the Cold War. Okay. And what he effectively did was change the way that the leaders of the Soviet Union at that time, how they saw the world and how they saw the enemy, to a degree that in large part helped end the Cold War. Okay. Not lightweight. After that, the Soviet Union started to create holodynamic centers to help all of the people in that part of the world, okay? There were people that didn't like this. So what they did is try to assassinate Dr. Wolf with uranium. And I forget the word or how to say it. It's like chazine or something like that. So it was a combination of uranium and this particular molecule, right? That normally kills people within 6 months to a year. And you could barely feel the jab when someone injects you with this, okay? So he was telling this story the other day. He told this story when I first met him back in 2006. But I asked him, I'm like, you were able to survive that when 99.9% of people, they're dead within 6 months to a year. How did you do that? How did you use holodynamics and that whole method to do that? He said, well, everything is an information system. So energy is information, right? So this microphone, that plant behind me, me as an individual, the cells in my body, everything has information in it, right? And you have the ability to communicate with that information. So what Dr. Wolf learned how to do using his modality is learn the language of certain objects and things in the world that have information systems inside of them. And by learning the language, he could understand what it's trying to do in the world, what its intention in the world is, how it actually operates in physical reality. And by having that understanding, he was able to effectively learn the language of the uranium and this chazine or whatever it was that he got injected with, which he told us is a very complex system. And so it would shift in the matrix of reality every time he tried to look at it and communicate with it, because it didn't want to change. But he kept learning the language, so much so that he was able to change the physical structure of this thing so that it could exit his body and ultimately enable him to heal.
Was he sitting and convening with it? Was he meditating in the stillness? Like, how did he access that in the quantum?
So the word holodynamics, if you break it down, it's holographic, right? And the dynamics of the holographic universe, ultimately. And what that means is we exist in a reality where it's basically images, right, that are being projected from the universe, the divine, or whatever, into our experience. So I am a hologram. You are a hologram. We look real, but essentially we are a projection of consciousness into this dimension of reality. I know that may be difficult for some people to
That's cool.
just grasp.
We just had
right?
some people share it with their friends, and then we just had some people leave. And it's all good. If you're here with us, share because you feel the truth. So let's go.
And so we can understand and we interact with the universe through images. Like when I ask you to remember your first day of high school, you can recall a memory, right? A memory will come as an image in your imagination, in your mind of the first day of high school. That
I was nervous. I remember I wore a 49ers, 1994.
Mm-hmm.
49ers were in the Super Bowl with the Chargers. And so I wore a 49ers sweatshirt. Bad thing to do when you're in San Diego. I got some heat for that one. But you're right. I mean, I really, that was it, Jay. I really got hit with that memory. It's right here, right now.
So you can access information through holograms, images, right? So just as you recalled that memory of your first day of high school, you can probably access the information if you really sat with it. You probably already did, of what it felt like to be there in your first day. Maybe you were nervous. Maybe you were excited. Maybe there was all these different things happening, right? So when you think about that memory, you're accessing information. That information then comes into your system that we call a body and into your mind. And then you, on a chemical level, are able to feel things, to feel what it was like to go back to that time, which was in the past, right? But the past, present, future all happen at the same time is what Dr. Wolf breaks down for us. So you're actually experiencing the past in this moment just by recalling that moment or that memory. So in essence, what we have the ability to do is use these holograms as a way to communicate with things, animate, inanimate, in the world. So what Dr. Wolf, to answer your question, what does he do? He probably closes his eyes. He probably doesn't have to close his eyes, right? Because you can also see memories without having to close your eyes. And then communicating it, you can do that silently, or you can do it out loud by talking to it. And you can then hear, if you're in your spiritual self, right? When you take your neocortex thinking mind off of line, right? And you get away from all the distractions and you're centered, grounded in your spiritual self, you can then communicate with whatever that thing is that you're trying to communicate, and information will come to you. If you're present enough, you're in the moment enough, information will come to you based on whatever it is that you are asking or wanting to communicate with that thing. So essentially when he's talking to these molecules, it's telling him like, this is what we're here for. If you want this to come out of your body, this is what you need to do. It's giving you information. You just got to be present to it.